to keep the exposure from the sun, and also away from the road, to keep the salt from damaging it. So it's something we need to think about. The sign will be laminated, which will help. And they've also offered, the village itself, well, us, it'll be the Historical Society, we can actually use the backside of that sign because it's gonna be blank the way they install it. So I've been talking with Phylis, we think that's a good thing to do on the backside. Instead of leaving it blank, we put some type of historic information regarding Crete. Something Phylis can talk about further, actually. And I've got I got a couple things regarding cruise night also. I think at the same meeting, I mentioned permanent no parking signs for Main Street. Is that something we've discussed any further?
Phil? We had a discussion about permanent parking signs on Main Street. We thought that that might be problematic with respect to having those in different locations.
Last time I recall that was discussed, he was gonna get you guys a number as to how many signs you needed.
But we were briefly talking about it too, right? And we were thinking that that could be something that could be problematic, depending upon the number and the location and that sort of thing. So let's get a number from Rick and then we'll go from there.
Is, when we're talking about permanent, are we talking about?
Well, I meant permanent for the season. I mean, they don't have to be up year round. I mean, our season's June, July, and August.
But I mean, are you talking about what, creating some sort of a metal sign that we can put up and then take it down after a period of time?
Take it down when cruise nights are over for the season. So like the first week of September.
Could you put those straps on there? Yeah. Put them on and take them off, and leave the straps in. You know, high enough so somebody doesn't
We
walk
need
into
something
it.
better than what we've got now, for sure.
Yeah, the cardboard ones.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, they're a pain to put up. They don't get put up like they should. They get torn down. And then this is something this is something the chamber could pay for sure. But of course, we can't just put up signs. I don't
No,
know.
right, exactly.
We're talking about strapping them, affixing them to the light poles that are on Main Street. I've got an example of a sign in my office, which is a fluorescent orange one. We have copies of it. Look at something like that. So.
And also at the same meeting, I had mentioned putting up a bigger sign mounted next to the Crete Service Center marquee, just to advertise cruise nights for the summer. It would be mounted to the east side of his sign. It wouldn't be no bigger than like 4x4, 4x3, something like that.
Can you talk to them about doing
I
that?
talked to Rob about it. He doesn't have any problem.
We just need to see a sketch of what that sign would look like and where it would be located.
Okay, I can do that.
Rick, the first sign you talked about, refresh my memory, where were we gonna be putting that?
The historic sign?
Yeah,
We were talking about putting it there by the new Veterans Memorial. And the only other location we mentioned was on the corner of Cass and Maine, on the corner there by where Creek Travel used to be. I hadn't seek permission from Janet, but I don't think she'd have a problem with it.
yeah, considering what we kind of witnessed this last year with the snow plows going through town, if you're talking about on the Main Street side of the parking lot over here by the memorial, there's virtually no way that thing's not gonna get used by the.
I
by the
noticed
snow
that
plow.
myself, yeah.
I mean, you know, you can't always guarantee what the
Right.
behavior of the snowplow guy is gonna be, and I mean, we had slush, 10 feet up on the windows.
Mike,
So-
we need to just clarify, that's the state of Illinois snowplow.
Yeah, right, state of Illinois snowplows. And there again, I'm trying to think, I don't know that there's any, I mean, you got from the sidewalk to the back of the curb, that's actually on the state right away. And I'm not sure we can get it. We may not be able to get it in there.
Well, I don't really have to go right there. I mean, we could put it more on the exchange side, just so it's close. I'm open to suggestions.
I mean, I kind of like the jam thing, particularly if we could put it on kind of 45.
It's a good idea,
you know,
actually.
Kind of facing the northwest,
Right.
just, a little ways in off the sidewalk. Yes,
Virginia,
about
so.
it. And probably more visible most of the time. You know, so, because if we're trying to shoot for longevity here. it
Right,
might be-
and that's exactly what they're trying to shoot for, because they don't wanna buy signs too often.
Yeah, but I guess as far as putting something on the backside of it, that may not be a good spot for it. So I guess maybe we're gonna have to try to figure out which is,
Well, they're not trying to do a sign to where you're going to drive by and read it, they want people to stop, get out, and
Sure.
they want it to be read, and they want pictures taken by it.
yeah.
Especially so it would go viral on Facebook, what have you, that's what they're shooting for.
Okay. All right.
The only other thing I had was, you guys should have gotten an invite for, one of our new members for ribbon cutting on May 30th at 5:30. It's Monster Performance Center. This is in the old Ken's Lawn and Leisure at the south end of town. Hope you guys can make it. We'll be there at 5:30 with the ribbon cutting. Thanks.
Okay.
That's May 30th.
30th. Yeah, they're having an open house on 30th and 31st. It's a Friday, Saturday.
Rick, on that sign, I don't know how much control you have on that, but they do make a UV protected laminate. that
Well,
you
I know
probably
it's been laminated. Yeah, I mentioned maybe putting plexiglass over it or something shatterproof to help the longevity of it.
Yeah, I mean, I just mentioned it to you, I don't know, maybe they're looked at that direction, but there is UV available.
I'll mention it.
Okay, Mr. Seehausen.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, Phyllis.
Well, that's a great segue, because on the back side of the sign is a perfect opportunity to put some Crete history, some photos of the founders of Crete and some other photos. We've already chosen the 4 photos for the front, for the one side, for Dixie Highway, just showing Dixie Highway. But it's just a great opportunity to have little Crete history and some photos, you know, so people walking by can get a little bit more information about Crete history, our community. And if then the Crete history part is going to be facing south, what you just said to protect it from ultraviolet rays is really important. So the Historical Society would like to be very much involved in that, and we have some funds available because this is an educational thing that's important to our community. So, and I've been working anyway with Carolyn Whalen people who were able to, they have a huge number of photos in
I'll
there.
bet.
Yes, yeah. So, and they're great photographers and they're magicians on the Photoshop, whatever it is, yes. They've eliminated electric wires and other things in some of our Christmas pictures that we put out, yeah. They can eliminate anything. And so if someone doesn't wanna be here, or someone isn't here at a meeting, they can put them in, yes. But I'm also here on behalf of the library, which is, in addition to Crete, our village is another great provider of services for the people in our community, as you all know. And we had a great day last week for senior citizens. We brought in a lot of different speakers, plus blood pressure testing for them, and a little entertainment for them, so that was a great day. And the library is gearing up for summer reading programs. It's not just for kids anymore, it's for adults too, and teens, so just wanted to make you all aware that you can be involved in the summer reading program at the library.
Good boy. Okay.
Now, if we read a book, do we get to pick out of the prize thing like the kids do?
I think that's reserved just for the kids.
Oh.
Yes, yes. But that is an idea, you know.
I gotta tell you.
We all need to get a little bit more into reading, so.
I'm like overdosed on reading quite frankly. Okay, Mr. Seehausen.
Hey, Mayor.
Last meeting, got into a little exchange between Mark Wader and myself, and I just wanted to clarify something this evening. The comments that were made were in regard to, again, the insurance, and I made a comment that the village doesn't have any policies per se regarding
insurance for time, health, health benefits for anybody for that matter. But then I said that the adjoining communities surrounding Crete do all have clear policies for their employees. Waiter made a comment that, Trustee Waiter, I don't know that that statement is true. You stated it as fact, but I don't know that that's true. So I wasn't aware that Trustee Waiter wasn't gonna be here this evening. I do have the policies here for all of you. I'm gonna give, if I may, Trustee Taylor, hand these to you, and if others would like copies, those are the policies. And I think it would be important for the village to clearly state who they insure and who they won't. The next item, a couple meetings back, regarding assigned vehicles that the staff, some of the appointed officials are driving. Supervisors assigned a vehicle according to IRS rules are required to report this as taxable benefit on their IRS W-2 form. Reporting to and from work and using a vehicle for personal pleasure is a taxable benefit to employees. It appears the Village of Crete may have created an income tax problem for those who have been receiving this benefit over the past several years. Additionally, after having reviewed information obtained from FOIA this past week, an iPass transponder record indicated that the vehicle driven by Chief James Paletti, police chief, is recording daily usage of $1.50 for traveling to and from his residence each day from a Chicago address to Crete. The average monthly usage was approximately $32.50 or $390 per year. According to you, Mayor Einhorn, during the April 14th, 2014 board meeting, you stated that the village is paying for all fuel, iPass, and insurance costs associated with the vehicle. My problem is I'm perplexed because over the years, the past, well, since 2008, why the village administration has incurred unnecessary spending during our region-specific depressed economy, and why trustees, if they are in fact reviewing bills for authorizing payment, haven't made this discovery and directed the chief to avoid using the Illinois tollway during his travel to and from work. I should note that my FOIA regarding Administrator Durkin's iPad transponder information was denied. However, I am going to go through the proper, Attorney General pack to see if I can extrapolate that. Any comments? I mean, since we talked about this 2 meetings ago, I haven't received any phone calls from any trustees saying, hey, what are you talking about? What's up? I think it's really important that we look into that. I encourage you to do that, to talk to the auditor and find out what the deal is on that. And it should have really been an auditor touch.
Really?
I would think. Who's preparing the tax returns?
The employee.
Okay. Well, they receive a W-2 from the village. But anyway, that's my report on that this evening. I have one more issue that I'd like to discuss. Deer Meadows subdivision on Richton Road. I understand the village received a surety bond settlement in the amount of approximately $114,000 in late 2012. The developer of Deer Meadows subdivision and/or construction had filed for bankruptcy prior to completing build-out of the subdivision, and the surety bond, guarantee bond, was released to the Village of Crete for completing and satisfying any work not yet completed. If that were true, can you offer whether or not that's exactly what happened? And how was the $114,000 received earmarked for bringing the project to completion, and in which account was that deposited in? Is that a general account or?
It's in a corporate fund,
Okay.
separated out and restricted. You want to explain Mr. Seehausen what the $114,000 is for?
Well, he's wrong with $114,000, but based on.
Is it close?
Based on the statements that Mr. Seehausen has made to me in the past, I have nothing to say.
Okay. Trustees, you should look into it. And
It's
finally,
already been handed out.
oh, okay.
Nothing will change.
finally, at the last board meeting, there was discussion on Maria Alexachuk. The ordinance that she is currently and has been consulting the Village of Crete for over 3 years, even during her employ with and while the firm where she was employed, Leckie and Associates, was representing the Village of Crete. The ordinance passed on April 14, 2014, created a position, as I understand it, of finance director.
There was no ordinance passed.
There wasn't?
No. All that was a motion to assign her a title. That's all.
Okay.
No ordinance.
So, if there's a title, where now she's a consultant, she will now be employed by the Village of Crete as a title, or she'll be a consultant representing a position of the Village of Crete?
The second's accurate, more accurate.
So she'll continue to be a consultant, and she'll be called, for all intents and purposes for employees and such,
Finance director.
finance director. You mentioned that Maria helped with the administration in office reorganization. Since she is responsible for straightening out the village chart of accounts that has been wrong for over 5 years, and she prepares all the financial documents and actively participates with bank reconciliations, and is the office go-to girl when the office staff can't make something work, is she basically then kind of like a collector? I mean, does she have the same responsibilities the collector has now, or is that?
She handles no money.
She handles no money. But the current responsibilities that were mentioned, bank reconciliations and such, that is the job of the collector.
Right now, it is, yeah.
That may change.
Possible.
Will she be receiving benefits, health insurance? One last question.
This is your third last question.
I'm sorry. Can I ask another question? Mayor, for the record, has Maria or any of the past village auditors ever prepared personal tax returns, i.e. individually or jointly marital, for yourself, any of the trustees, or any appointed administrative personnel while representing the village in their positions of office?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir. That's all I have.
If I could just clarify for the board, he was absolutely wrong on the taxable benefit to Chief Paley on his vehicle, as far as our pass rules are concerned. And he's absolutely wrong. The village pays no I-pass fees of $1.50 for traveling out of town.
Okay, unanimous consent agenda. Any additions or corrections to the minutes?
Yes, I do. I have a correction to page 3 of the, in my report. When I gave my report last week, everything was, what I read was totally accurate, up to the point where it says we'll integrate with a village hall, period. So that's about halfway down. Beginning with the paragraph, everything was very accurate, and I give the clerk kudos in reporting exactly what she heard. But after that, it says, Village President Einhorn explained that there's only one Maria, concerned that she was vetted approximately 3 years ago and was first retained. Maria Alexachuk holds a CPA and an MBA, a license with the state. I don't deny any of that, but it wasn't part of my report. And has proven her expertise the past 3 years in handling the accounts, accounting reconciliations. I don't deny any of that, but it wasn't in my report. And it says, is enable processing different computer software used by the village. It is a very known entity with demonstrated abilities.
Could I answer to you why that's like that? Because when he made those remarks, it was President Einhorn that answered
understand that. However, when a trustee gives a report and then says, end of report, it's a trustee's report. All the extraneous conversation was after my report. So, I mean, if you wanted to put it in under another heading, I totally understand. But it shouldn't be listed as my report.
So next time you have something like that, would it be all right with you if I say, and President Einhorn answered Trustee Gaffney in this following manner?
No, you don't really need to, because my report was ended. I would
But I
just,
need to put something else so that it doesn't just hang out there like we didn't take care of answering you properly.
my report was over. I mean, if you wanna put it somewhere else, I don't have a problem with that.
It will go, if you have an answer to your report, it will go near your report. I will do that. Doesn't make any difference if what trustee, if they've asked a question and been answered by whoever, I will put it in there because people want to know that.
I would like to make the recommendation when I'm finished with my report, you could possibly say, you know, I just wanna just be clear, that when my report is over, my report is over.
Trustee, would you like to amend the record and just put end of report at that point?
I would like to have that end of the report, and then if you wouldn't mind putting, discussion, was, after the report was over, discussion ensued. And just so it's clear, you know, and I understand, you know, I'm not afraid of verbal back and forth, and what we had, but, you know, if you wanna say afterwards, you know, discussion ensued, but basically, it makes it sound like that was my report.
I don't see how you can say that when it's basically referring to me and what I said. How does that become your report? It's just an answer. It says, do what President Einhorn explained. It doesn't say Trustee Gaffney explained. It says, I explained.
I understand.
So how, I don't understand what you're saying.
What I'm saying is, in good, clear municipal government, when a report is given on the minutes, and the trustee says, end of report, the report then is over. When other discussion ensues, and we were ready to move on to Waiter's report, but then there was other discussion that ensued. So if other discussion ensued, it could go somewhere else, but not under my report.
Well, then how would it make any sense? Let's, as an example, I'm gonna answer your question further back in the minutes, as opposed to where it happened in the process of the meeting? Is that what you're saying?
What I am saying, all I'm saying is, when a trustee's report is ended, the report is ended. I mean, you know, if we wanna have a discussion, which we did have, but it wasn't part of my report.
Okay, how about this, Madam Clerk? Why don't you just parent what's there, what's under me, and you can put that down under President Einhorn's report.
Perfect, absolutely.
And in the future, if anybody has any comments, I guess they'll wait until everybody's done, and if Trustee Taylor wants to say something about your report, we'll have to put that in farther down.
That makes sense.
Doesn't to me, but.
I can tell you, when I have a report, you can discuss on my reporting.
Well, if we pass this, what else do you need? Anybody else have any issues with corrections?
So how do we,
What are we doing?
How are we on, or what are we doing?
No, I would like to amend, okay, I would just like to amend it, and the mayor did the right thing, saying, we'd like to move to his report. And if you don't wanna do that, then just open it.
And I will add your wording of, I wrote it down.
Before we vote for it, I just need to know what we're voting for, because I really don't know what we're voting
Just to be
against.
clear, are you making a motion to add the word end of report after the word current staff?
Does it require a motion? If it requires a motion.
We have to change it
Yeah,
before
right.
approval.
Yes, okay, I'd like to move that we put, at the end of that sentence, end of report,
Okay,
and then recommend what the mayor just recommended, put the comments.
moving the next paragraph down
Perfect.
to building president.
Perfect, that's all I'm asking.
So-
I'm not trying to be,
So So I'm just.
argumentative, I'm just trying to be straight with what I said.
So Madam Clerk, we have a motion.
Yes, I
Okay.
think so.
All right.
Like, can somebody clarify it so we understand, please? Because I don't understand.
Well, it's going to, say that at the end of that sentence where it says current staff working at Village
Village
Hall,
Hall.
period.
Okay.
Then he wants that to say end of report, meaning that that is the end of his report, period. Then I will also say, and the state and the paragraph beginning, village president Einhorn and ending with demonstrated abilities will be placed under the report of President Michael Einhorn.
Just a couple lines
It's
down,
just-
right here.
Perfect. Thank you.
It would be before the appointment of Tim Brett.
Yes.
Is there a second on that?
I'll second.
Any other additions or corrections to the minutes and or consent agenda? We have to vote
You
on
have to
this.
vote on that.
All right. Then all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. So ordered. Now, any other additions or corrections to the minutes or the consent agenda? And then what's your pleasure?
Excuse me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You approved,
I have something else.
trustee waiters.
Yes, I approve trustee waiters bills. Hold on one second. The last minute bill from Saturdays. Should have said this before. Because for South Animal Hospital really requires their payment working immediately. I'd like to add $5,582.50 a day, and I think this is actually public health. Yeah, Deb just gave me this literally 4 o'clock today, and asked the Forest South Animal Hospital, this is for the services performed for the animal inoculation. That was on Saturday. 5582.50 to, whatever the amount was.
He wants to add it to the bills and
To trustee waiters.
Yeah,
bills.
public health.
You know, like.
$29,757.05, did I see, is that right, Anthony? No, wait, I'm sorry. I have that to, fire. I was gonna say that. Close.
How you like that?
I was taking the list below the garbage.
What are you doing? Maybe public work. Please.
57,1250, is that what you got? 57,1250.
Who's that bill, man?
55,250. Anybody else? Sorry for that.
I move to pass the unanimous consent agenda with the additions and with the corrections.
I second.
Motion by Johnson, second by Taylor. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. So ordered. Okay. Dan, anything under, committee reports tonight?
Nothing.
Steve?
Just a short thing, I went on, Tuesday, to Warrenville. They have a system over there called Flowtech,
Flowtronics.
Flowtronics, I'm sorry, Flowtronics, you're right. spent about 2 hours with a gentleman named Mike Smith over there. Toured 2 of his well houses. And this is another system that really piqued our interest, to be honest with you. It is definitely different than what we're looking at right now. More close probably to the sand filter program than the Ammendment. So on my suggestion with Mike and everybody else is we go, actually all of us go and look at it and take a little tour of that. And then also I think we're gonna take a tour of Plano, because they're also a company that, another town that has the exact same system in there. So, again, just before we make any decisions, we're gonna make sure that we're doing the right thing here, so, that's what we're gonna do. And, his gentleman over there, his name is Mike Smith, also very knowledgeable, gentleman, and, so I'll be getting a hold of him, and then I'll go over everybody's through the festival, so. Other than that,
Trustee Johnson?
No.
Trustee Gaffney?
Yes, I do have a report. If you wouldn't mind, may I stand? I'm kind of getting cramped up. Do I have to sit?
Whatever you want.
Those who wore I wore my baseball cap tonight as a reminder to myself that normally Monday night before I was a trustee was golfing. So it's just a reminder of me that I'm dedicated to this service to the village. I'd like to talk a little bit about what has transpired in the last week or so. Went to my mailbox, as the rest of us did, as Crete residents, and we pulled out, boom, our taxpayers. And at least my opinion is like, I could hear a pin drop. I mean, it was like actually a kaboom in the village, because everybody I talked to, which we did talk at the coffee shop about taxes and how difficult of a situation we are in here in Crete. Now, my personal taxes went up $1,000, and we had Doris and Matt in here talking about that. I personally met with Doris and Matt, and I think they have a very good mission, and I give them a lot of kudos. That's number one. Secondly, our big struggle is, which I'm not denying it, and I think we all have to face it, is that if anybody looked at the business section of the Chicago Tribune, it's very worrisome. Illinoisans turn into Hoosiers. It's troublesome. We are on the front line of this problem. And part of the problem is, of course, the taxes and what we can do about it. And the article goes on to explain that housing is booming in St. John and Pound Point. And unfortunately, we've had no new housing. It's not our fault. We know that. We are shackled. We've talked about it. We're shackled by the state. We're shackled by the school district. We're up against it, folks. And as a board, my opinion is that the only thing, or one of the few things that we can do, is to give the residents a reason to stick around. You know, homes for sale. My neighbors across the street from me are realtors. They keep me informed of what's going on here in Crete, and I personally don't like it. So I guess the challenge and the gauntlet that I will throw down to us as trustees is how to, and I don't have the answers, trust me, if I had all the answers, I'd be up here telling you what they are. So what is our answer to giving residents something, a reason to stay in Illinois, in order to stay in Crete? It's a tough call, guys. We're all in the same boat. No matter what you think about my comments and my demeanor, I love this town. I know some people think I tear this town down, but I'm a realist. And I love this town. I built this house by scratch. I keep my house in excellent condition. I put a lot of money into my house. I love my neighborhood. I don't necessarily love the area. I don't love the south suburbs. I don't love my school district. I'll be honest with you. I don't love the state of Illinois. But I really love Crete, and I love my neighborhood, and I'd love to stay. But you know, I don't know how many of us sitting around here, and most of us, with a few exceptions, are residents. We live here. You guys all on the board, we're all belong to the village of Crete. Where are we gonna be in 5 to 7 years? I would love to think I could still be here. I don't know if we all are going to be still here. And I will try my best to come up with something, you know, and I don't know what it is, but I do think we need to overcome some of our petty differences and get to the real challenge of what we gotta do to get people to stay. Give them a reason to stick around. I don't know, I campaigned when I was running for trustee, and I said, hey, you know, maybe a rec center, you know, and I know everything costs money, don't get me wrong. But we're in trouble. I think we need to do something regardless of what it is. And it can't be smoke and mirrors. We need to do something to give people a reason to stick around in Crete. It saddens me. It really does, reading this damn article. You know, for everybody to read, talking about Indiana. I'm sick of hearing about Indiana, but you know, it's a fact of life. You know, their shopping and their taxes, and you know, we need more than cleaning the streets to be bragging on. You know, and I'm a big supporter of anybody, the guy that's doing our salting, but clean streets isn't enough to keep people here. So I'm urging the board members, and whether it takes discussion or what motion we gotta move to, and I do say we need an identity of something, you know, and I do know 15, 20, 30 years ago, we had kind of an identity, we were a little antique-y town, you know? It's not enough anymore. So, that's all I wanna say, and I wanna get past some of this difficulty, and, you know, and work together with the rest of the board, and do the best we can to get Crete stabilized without losing more people. It's end of my report.
Trustee Nolan.
No, thank you.
Okay, I have a couple of things to mention. First of all, we have a couple of items that I included for everybody to look at. And it has to do with the local government distributive fund, which to the layman, I think it's the Illinois State Income Tax. As you are probably aware, there is a movement afoot to make the tax increase of about 3 years ago permanent. Well, right now, we are, from a municipality side, receiving about the same amount of income tax distribution on a per resident basis, because that's how it's done, as we were getting in 2008. It's about $95 per resident. During that same time, it was $94.56 in 2008, it's $95.72 estimated for 2000. During that same period of time, the state of Illinois received $851.07 in 2008. And in 2014, their estimated take would be $1,499.60. They have collected another, I think the number is like $30 billion over the last 5 years, but they don't have much to show for it. Last week, there was a bill introduced, or amendment to a bill introduced at the in the Senate, that actually proposed that our share would be eliminated completely. Yeah. The loss to the village of Crete, because it's not only the LGDF, it's also local use tax, our cost, the financial damage to the village of Crete would be just shy of $1 million in current revenue. So, I I'm not sure exactly what that amendment was supposed to do to us or tell us, but as I stated at the last meeting, our senator said something to the effect that if we have to feel the pain, you have to feel the pain. So, I don't, all I can tell you is this is pretty scary stuff. And, obviously, if we would lose $1 million, next stop is bankruptcy, because you won't have the money to keep the doors open. Just won't be possible. So, I just wanna make sure everybody's aware of that. I also have another, item that I distributed to everybody that talks about downstate pension. And since 2004, and I'll use the police as an example, because we don't have fire pension here. Our contributions on a per, cost per employee basis in 2004 was $10,503.57. In 2012, it's $26,165. Folks, I don't know where that's going either. You heard me talk about this last meeting. How we're gonna take our money from slot machines that we have at the local taverns and bars, and every year seed that over to the police pension fund to try to get ourselves up to 90% funding level. In 1997, the total contributions to the police and fire pension in the entire state, and this is the downstate pension, not Chicago, 1997 was $86 million. In 2012, it's $339 million. So, start doing the math, that's an increase of 157%, so in a 15-year period. So, it's not something that people like to talk about, or maybe people even understand, but as we all know, the pension enhancements were a direct result of requests made by the police and fire unions to their legislators who granted these public safety pension enhancements, knowing full well that municipalities have to shoulder the cost. So, I just want to make sure everybody understands that. And, does anybody have any questions on these issues?
Mayor, I guess I just wanted to, I don't know if you're gonna talk about it, but this was in the packet regarding.
Well, I put that in everybody's mailbox, yeah, it wasn't in the packet, but I sat down and worked out a schedule, so everybody can see what happened to our EAV over the last, what year was it, like 2009?
You went from 2009
to 2013. And it illustrates what happened to our EAV. We went, I think we were down the most, I want to say, 31%, something like that.
We got snaked out by Monique.
Oh, okay.
By 0.11%.
Okay. Interestingly enough, our whole EAV, 145 million currently now, is the amount that Frankfurt lost in EAV during that period of time. So they actually lost the value of the entire village of Crete from 2009 to 2013. So, by way of comparison, when people try to compare us to Frankfurt, guess what, folks? There is no such comparison. So, it's just what we, it's kind of the cards that we've been dealt, and if you don't understand the implications of only look at on that same sheet, Dan, what's happening in Wilmington, a town that's ostensibly kind of like Crete,
Nowhere in here, Indiana.
and nowhere near Indiana. And the issue there is that the farther, or what it illustrates is that the farther you go away to the west, the less effect Indiana has on you. Because if you want to live over in that area, Indiana is not a suitable substitute. And what has created that problem, history here, is that several years back, and I don't remember how many it is, probably 5, maybe something like that, maybe it's a little longer, Indiana changed its method of taxation for real estate. They went to a flat tax based upon fair market value. And they shifted the burden in Indiana to industrial and commercial properties, much in the same way that Cook County did it. Cook County, taxes, you hear about taxes on businesses, or paying huge real estate taxes on businesses and industrial real estate, and they are not paying the kind of taxes that we are for residential. Well, in Indiana, you pay a maximum of 1% of fair market value on owner-occupied housing. So if you have a $300,000 house, you're gonna be paying your maximum real estate tax is $3,000, 1% of 300,000. Over here, that same house in Crete would cost you $9,000. So it's roughly 3 times as much. Anything that's not owner-occupied, that's residential, pays 2% max, and anything that's industrial commercial is 3%. So, while the residential over here takes a hit, we can at least compete head-to-head in some areas on real estate taxes with Indiana for industrial and commercial. So, there is no good answer for how you resolve that. You can't just instantly change the tax code in Will County or Illinois and have it be instantly better. And again, unfortunately, when our borders are literally 2.5 to 3 miles from Indiana, it's almost too hard to deny. So, that kind of speaks to what Trustee Gaffney was talking about before. But that really is the basis for all the things that are taking place here. That being said, and I've said this for as long as I can remember, or I guess maybe as long as I realize what is going on, we can't rely on residential to be our tax base. We have to be looking to compete in other ways, and that has to be in industrial and commercial. You know, if things turn around at a later time, maybe because our EAU would go up a lot faster with larger industrial and things of that nature, maybe our tax rate will come down, which could at least take away a little bit of the gain that the advantage that Indiana has. But until that happens, we're unfortunately saddled with having to deal with that. I will tell you again, I think Crete is probably better off financially than a lot of the towns around here. We have room to grow. We have, I think, a lot of opportunities here. We've prepared our land and our infrastructure to grow. It's just a matter of trying to turn our assets into dollars. And I believe that's something that both myself and the staff work on a daily basis. So, I will again attempt to let the trustees know as I get updates. If you're not calling your state senators and state representatives, as I do, or emailing them so that they hear from somebody besides that king in the ass from the Einhorn from Crete, I suggest that you do that. It's all nice to come in, pontificate at a board meeting, but at the end of the day, the guy that matters that's what the proposal was again last week. Am I right, Tom? Now, where it's gonna go from here, I don't know. We discussed this with the governor. I sat right there next to him, and, you know, he wasn't singing the praises of giving us a little kick in the income tax department when I was sitting there next to him. Kind of gave me the feeling that he's likely to say that, you know, the state wants to pretty much take all the money and they'll just keep us plugging along where we're at, or maybe we'll take some. If that happens, again, I don't know what that's gonna do to us, so. Some things are just out of our control. I don't think I have anything else to say tonight, so, at least not right now. Tom?
Tomorrow I will be attending the next round of meetings regarding the 394 corridor grant through the South Suburban Mayors and Managers. If you recall, that's a study being done, planning study, transportation study for 394 from Interstate 80 to the Kankakee County line that the Mayors and Managers is spearheading. And this Thursday is the day Karen Telef and I will be traveling down to CMAP to interview the two consultants for our comprehensive plan update. Recall, the village is receiving a 100% grant from CMAP for the update of our comprehensive plan. And Trustee Gaffney, I think a large part of that is gonna be address some of the points that you had brought up. That's typically spelled out in a comprehensive plan in order to provide direction to a community, such as branding, looking at proper locations for uses and things of that nature. So hopefully that'll be a start in that right direction. It's something that certainly we've envisioned for a number of years in terms of trying to find the funding for something like this. I anticipate the funding provided by CMAP will be in excess of $100,000 for this study. So we should get a pretty significant comprehensive plan update from a pretty qualified firm working with us. That's all I have.
Chief Pelley?
I'm pleased to announce that on this coming Friday, Sergeant Scott Pruitz will be graduating from Northwestern University Staff and Command course. It was a 3-month adventure for him, and it will greatly enhance his abilities as a supervisor. And earlier, or rather later last week, several of our businesses were victimized by an individual that went in and made purchases of small amounts using counterfeit $100 bills. We're currently pursuing that investigation with both federal and local authorities, and we have video of the offenders, and we're proceeding in that direction and attempting to identify them.
Was there more than one, or was it just one guy? Was there more than one person?
Yes, at one of the locations, the Marathon gas station was hit twice by 2 different individuals that came out of the same car, about 10 minutes apart.
Chief Blacker?
Yeah.
Got a couple of people I'd like to acknowledge tonight. Most of you that have been around here for a while know Lieutenant John Sloop. He's our EMS coordinator. Last week at the EMS South Cook County meeting, he was awarded a certificate for 30 years of service in EMS. John's full-time job is with Bud's Ambulance. He's a supervisor up there. There's not a whole lot in the EMS field that John hasn't seen, done, or participated in. Taking people with emergencies to the hospital. So what an asset to our department. And he's been here since 1988. I think he was one of our first part-timers here, so he's been here a long time. So, secondly, the Illinois Fire Chiefs Association every year gives out a scholarship for education. And last year, Lieutenant Seifert was awarded a $1,000 scholarship, and this year, one of our contract / POC members, Harry Blondin, was awarded a $1,000 scholarship. And again, these are not easy to get. It's a lot of work on their part, different narratives that they have to write, a letter from myself. But the last 2 years have been hugely successful. Each one of them got $1,000. They're both working on their degrees with that. So that's all, Cap.
Phil?
Nothing, Mayor.
Excuse me, just a second. Phil, are you gonna talk about Exchange Street or? No. Okay.
Did you wanna say anything about Amy?
Amy Most, one of our POCs, graduated her nursing degree.
License.
So, yeah, she actually worked, she's an EMT, firefighter EMT on the department, came up through the cadet program, and, she actually was working here today, so kudos to her.
Bill, nothing from you? Marty?
Got a couple things, Mayor. Just an update on the animal inoculation day. I think Collector Hom might have a more detailed report for you of all the exact things, but
Right.
roughly we've seen about 60 dogs, 6 cats, and sold out about 39 or 40 village tags that day there. So it was a good public relations event for animal control. Both Debbie Pattison, Ryan Allison, and myself were all there. And I think we had a real good turnout in that. I hope next year we bring us some ideas on improving the program to make it better for next year, but I thought it went very well. EMA, stepping aside to EMA now. We are going to be holding a CERT class in June 21st and 28th. CERT is Community Emergency Response Training to help individuals understand what's needs to be done in an emergency. Sometimes when we had a tornado or something like that, they may be called upon to assist in their neighborhood or things like that. So we're gonna be training 25 individuals. It'll be done at Crete Township Hall, June 21st and 28th. There's some brochures here for all the trustees. Please encourage anybody to sign up for it that you know or maybe would like to attend. It's good information, very basic, but it is very good information.
Give me the block.
This is part of our plan to try to get the community more trained, more aware, more ready for emergencies and that, so that's what it is. And then the last thing I have is, I just wanted to remind everybody, I hope everybody's got their weather radios.
Okay, well, I was just saying,
Flood warning.
It should've went off yesterday 3 times, it should've went off.
Yeah, phone went up.
You should've got 3 yesterday, I think thunderstorm warning, 2 thunderstorm warnings, and 1 flood warning and that, but, you know, it's important that you're aware of this stuff, so. I said, if anybody needs help with programming, if there's any issues, please see me in that, but I'm hoping that you guys give me the alerts in that, so.
And we still have it for sale.
And we still have it for sale here at the Village Hall too.
And the ones that you handed out to us are all pre-programmed, so it works. Thank you.
Very good.
Karen, anything?
Nothing.
Okay, let's go to communications, please.
I believe that the crossing guards were pleased with the recognition that the village gave, because we received a nice thank you from Judith Udowitz, am I anywhere close?
I think that's close, very good.
Okay, but it was a nice thank you, and I think they appreciate it. And if you saw any of them like I did, you were able to say thanks personally. What was listed under communications is what President Einhorn already spoke about, so I'm not gonna go into that, anymore. But there was communication from the Will County Governmental League Aggregation Group members, of which the Village of Crete participates, with information that the new ComEd rate of supply for our summer high time is going up, and it's going to be increasing, 36.5% savings is what those members that are in our group, our Will County group, are going to experience. It'll be 7.59 cents per kilowatt hour versus 4.83 cents, which is what those members that signed up for that in our village will experience. So it's kind of good news that we've been participating in this program, and if anyone in the audience wants this, I gave this to a couple of other clerks. You know, that's really good information, and it's good to know that it's on the positive side. Our next board meeting, in case those of you want
that from day one. You know, this was, in my estimation, probably the biggest no-brainer that's come through this, across this board table, since I've been here. You didn't have to do anything, literally, except go and vote, and say you wanted to be involved in this, which I am thankful that our residents did first time through. Some other municipalities weren't quite as fortunate, and wound up losing out on, you know, how many months of higher than necessary electric rates. This is just a good program, and I think what you're seeing is Commonwealth Edison feeling the pressure to drop their rate a little bit, because they were something, I think, before.
Low rate sense.
Low rate sense, so, but it's actually performing as predicted, and that is that eventually ComEd and the aggregated rate will wind up becoming virtually one and the same, although they are a ways away. So it looks like, hopefully we'll be able to do as good at the end of year 2, which is,
October of 2014.
yeah, coming up. So,
First 2-year contract.
2 years will be up in October of 2014. So cross your fingers, say your prayers, go to church, all that kind of stuff. So we stay where we're at, and maybe we get a little bit better. Okay, under old business then, discussion of information with regards to the municipal finance department and leasing police cars as opposed to buying them. I gave everybody a copy of the crush sheet that I made up for everybody so they can understand it. We decided to go to 5 years. I made that decision. And the reason I did is because we expect to have these vehicles for more than 5 years. So, you know, rather than take a lot of money out of our pocket, yeah, we can pay a little bit more in interest, but at the end of the day, it gives us a number that we can manage easier than, you know, taking it all out in 1 year. I was able to talk the folks at Motor Credit out of an additional 0.5%, which took us down below 5, so 4.95% is the number. And somewhere along, I didn't put the percentage in here, but what they did is they rolled the 2 vehicles together, and these are the numbers, what I would call complete. The pickup truck for the water department will get what they call a timing gate on the back, which is the lift that we use to move chemicals around with, and the one for road and bridge and buildings and grounds has a plow installed on that thing. So those numbers are all in with the numbers that you see here. And if we look at the cost, police cost, it tells you what the difference is that you're paying. So if you extend it over a 10-year period, which should be reasonable for these vehicles, you're paying $2,700 to $3,600 a year over the 10-year lifespan. So what we need to do, Attorney Stevenson has developed a wording for an appropriate agenda. We agreed to buy them last week, or last board meeting. Now that we have the lease numbers, we are going to be looking at 5547.40 for the water one, 7350 for the year for the buildings and grounds and road and bridge.
And then the chair may wish to entertain a motion to adopt the lease with intent to buy plan for the previously approved purchase of 2 Ford trucks. Said amounts being $58,700 total amount funded, 5 payments at 4.95%, annual payment amount of $12,900.91.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Motion by Johnson, second by Gaffney. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. So ordered. And by the way, we own the vehicle for $1 after the lease period is up, so there's no nothing that takes place in the end. It's the same thing we're doing with the 6 squad cars, Mike Smith's truck, and anyway, discussion on the tree program. I told you that we would discuss this at this meeting. I have not heard from anybody about any ideas on how to do this. Nor have I heard anybody whisper any kind of numbers as to how much money we should be paying, or where it should be coming from. Does anyone have any thoughts to offer up tonight?
I got it. I think it's, again, it's certainly something that we should look at for replacing trees that we've lost, but also see if there are some kind of share program with village residents to the trees and the parkways in front of their home.
Okay, so you'd like to see some sort of cost sharing if possible?
I would, yeah.
How about the rest of you folks here?
I love the tree that I purchased in conjunction with the village, I don't know how many years ago. It does nothing but enhance my home.
At this point, do we have any dollar amount that we're thinking we might have?
No, Larry, until I get, well, I'm getting close to being done with the appropriation ordinance.
I guess that's why.
Yeah, and that's why I want to kind of talk about this. We want to try to set some sort of limit. I want to say, Phil, we did include something, I think in road and bridge, if I'm not mistaken, but I don't remember what the number was. And
I don't have my stuff.
I mean, it's not a ton. Do you have an idea what a normal tree, parkway tree costs?
A 2-inch one basically is going for around 300, and you might be able to negotiate that price down somewhat. That's a 2-inch.
And that's planted though.
That's planted, yes,
Planted.
that's planted.
I would agree around there, between 250 and 300, I would think, you know, if you want to get a substantial,
Yeah, right.
substantial tree.
We're not gonna, the village isn't gonna plant it. We'll have people buying from planting it.
Well, honestly,
I don't know.
I
Oh,
would-
do you wanna plant?
you know, they're really more set up to do that
Yeah.
than we are, especially if they use the bigger,
Yes.
you know, the bigger gizmo that they use to do that with.
Maybe if they would warrant it, you know, maybe, I don't
Well-
want to avoid a warranty by us doing it wrong.
Yeah, you know, there is a right way and a wrong way. It has to be planted the correct depth, and I'm assuming that we've already talked about this at the staff level. We're not gonna buy all of one kind, because then we would be susceptible to having the plague show up here again and wipe out all the trees. I mean, I watched it take place with the Dutch elm disease, and now with the emerald ash borer, and I'm sure there's probably, you know, some other plague that took place in the last
Before that,
50 years.
the silver maples.
Oh, yeah, the silver maples were another one, you know.
If you look at our subdivision regulations regarding the requirement for street trees, it spells out the size and it spells out the types that it's approved in the parkways. So I would anticipate that whatever we did, we would follow what we already have established in the books and what would require a developer to do.
Yeah, well, and that's all well and good, Tom, but that may be more than we can afford. I mean, if we're gonna say we're gonna buy a 3-inch tree, and those are $600 a copy, you know, that's a problem.
Yeah.
So
I
we may
understand that,
have,
but it probably, it doesn't say it's 3 inch, it's not a 3-inch tree, it's a 2 or 2.5 inch, measured 12 inches above the base of the tree, which is a typical standard street tree size.
sure. So,
And the guy that lended my last one that I got, what he told me is if you just dig the hole and put the tree in there, you got a 50% chance that tree's gonna die.
you know,
That you gotta go way below where you plant the tree and loosen all that dirt up so the actually roots starts going down rather than coming up
yeah,
to the water.
I mean, there is a right way and a wrong way to do it, I know that for a fact, so.
We looked at the grant program that the Morton Arbor Road had recently, if you recall, and that was a maximum of $10,000 for a community our size, which.
And it would have cost us probably $10,000 to qualify.
And it required, among other things, a 3 to 4 year watering schedule program, mulching each tree every year.
The record keeping was absolutely
Inventorying,
insane.
and it would cost a substantial amount of money with respect to.
We literally had to hire somebody full-time during the summer to just to keep track of all the things that they wanted you to do. It was crazy, but coming out of Morton Arboretum, you would kind of expect it to be over the top, because that's what they do for a living. For us, it's not the same thing, so.
They gave Tom some information there on trees taken out like 67 of them last year of the ash trees, and I went through and had another
67,
60.
I thought it was in the forties. Was it 67 total, or was it 67 ash?
It was, on my total, I had 67 last year. By the end of the year, we finished up. Partway through, we talking around 40.
Okay.
And I listed another 60 that
The need to come down
need to
now.
come down yet this year. Now, all the stumps are still in there too. We really haven't, taken out stumps yet either, so, I would think we would wanna get all that done prior to going back and starting to plant and do that kind of stuff, so. Not saying that I don't wanna be ready to plant trees this year, but we may be putting, the cart a little before the horse here until, and one of the subdivisions that is gonna be, pretty bare is gonna be Gordon subdivision. Just, there's a ton of ash trees coming out of there.
Yeah.
And,
Does it need to be a, 250 tree, or can we get an assortment of some smaller ones, my house is 10 years old, and, and I bought some really inexpensive trees from Home Depot, $20. And, to my wife's chagrin, she goes, don't be buying all those cheap trees, but you know what, if you buy a fast-growing tree, and I bought some really fast-growing trees that are Cleveland pears, and in the spring they're gorgeous. And they grow fast. So, my point is, you might get some objection from residents, paying half of a $250, $225. May get very few takers, but if you order maybe some smaller ones, a more inexpensive, something that grows fast, and maybe they'll put up $60 or $80, just a thought.
Well, again, I just did the math here, I think it's like, if you do 120 trees at 250, it's 30 grand. I can pretty much tell you I can spend 30 grand. So, I'll have to figure out what that right number is. And I do get, and I don't know if you get them, Phil, but I get emails every once in a while, as advertisements from this nursery, from that nursery, trying to tell me to buy trees. Some of which actually are around here at Spring Hill Nursery, is not so far away, but we also have guys, we have landscape and, like Byron Allen down here, and John Reedfeld, people that are local that, could in fact, help us out, get through some of this stuff too, so.
I think what we need to do is identify a plan in terms of how many trees you're looking at replacing in any given year, and then getting bids from the various people that you're talking about, on what they, setting out some parameters, and that are flexible enough to allow them to be able to make some suggestions that might help to spread that money even further with respect to that.
And I don't know whether now is the time to be planting, or whether you should be doing it in the fall. I would think the fall would be the time, but I could be wrong.
I think you're correct, given the saps down.
The fall is
Either early spring or late fall, I thought. But
That's right, very early spring or late fall, in September, October.
Phil, on the trees that have already been taken down, are there any homeowners that have called saying, are you going to replace?
No, more when are stump gonna come out? That's
That's what everybody wants to know.
That's what everybody wants to know.
Cut it today, the stump comes out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, again, for the press that's here, that's not the way we do it. Because the stump grinder costs $4.50 a day or something like that. We wait till we have all the stumps ready to go, get that thing for a day, and make hay. We're not gonna go rent it to $450 a day and grind out 5 stumps. We don't own it, yeah, we used to, we don't anymore, so, that's how it works. Trying to make sure that we,
on a normal year, we can rent for one day and take everything out we got, return it, we're done, so.
I don't know if you can do 60 in a day.
Well, the way we're going, on the amount we're cutting down, I'm sure it'll be a 2-day adventure, 3-day.
3-day, yeah.
3-day adventure, but we also, when we do that, we usually notify the park district and anybody else too, that has, these stumps taken out. We try to do, kind of canvas everybody in. So.
Okay, all right, we'll, sometime between now and, I guess there's really no super rush, but we'll try to put something together. Staff will, it will address when we're gonna do the planting, what kind of trees we're gonna use, how much they expect them to cost, and how many. And,
Like I say, you're looking to start it, if fall is the season, are you thinking about starting for this fall, or?
yeah,
You're talking something about anything
No,
else.
can't do that, no, you're not gonna do that. No, you don't do that. And, we'll have to look at probably a variety of different trees, because some places where trees have been removed, we don't wanna plant a tree there. Because if you've got wires, we're not, you gotta plant a different kind of a tree. Like the pear you're talking about, it's called an understory tree, and that doesn't grow very tall and won't get up into the wires. If you're talking about something that's gonna provide shade, that's a different size tree, and, it costs different, it's a different kind of a tree. So, we'd have to probably figure out how many of each kind we're talking about doing, and, figure out what.
I think you gotta rely on the experts too, and you gotta have to be flexible enough for them to make some suggestions that might be much more beneficial to what we're trying to do, as opposed to trying to say, we want 10 of these and 10 of these and 10 of these.
Right, well, I read a lot about this stuff, to be quite frank, and, in fact, I want to send one of the recent municipal bulletins, or maybe Better Roads magazine, articles about this, and these guys are suggesting trees that I never even heard of, and I'm thinking to myself, this sounds like a great tree, but where the heck do you find something like that? These names are, there's so many variations on a maple tree, it's not even funny. Some are better than others, but you gotta be able to find them, and if you don't wanna be picking something that's 3 times as expensive as something else, so you gotta look at that information too, so. Okay, we have some direction. Quiet zone update. I know that the FRA got our quiet zone information on the 28th of April. I've not heard anything back from them. Kind of funny that that's the only, the FRA's one is the only one I did not get the return receipt back on, but I did go to the post office and we did verify that it was delivered. So, just a waiting game right now, folks. No other update is available for you. Sidewalk program, which was a discussion of feasibility of establishing a sidewalk program. Now, we have put a little bit of money back into the public benefit fund that has come back to us from the Richmond Road project. And the thought was maybe we could dedicate about $25,000 this year for sidewalk replacement. Larry Stocking has got a sidewalk list that he's already worked up. You're welcome to see it if you want to go out and inspect the sidewalks on your own. We've had a few people talk with us about wanting sidewalks replaced, but quite frankly, not everything that people want replaced are anywhere close to being as bad as the ones that Larry's found. We also have an issue down by Jim's tavern restaurant in the south end by Burville, that they're making a lot of improvements to that building, and there are some sidewalk issues out in front of there and water issues that we may want to throw in on top of this to get that taken care of in some fashion. So that issue is not as easily determined as to how we're going to solve that problem as pulling out a square here and a square there. There's some serious topography issues down there that have really led to probably a pretty undesirable circumstance, wouldn't you say, Phil? Some of it was created by the state of Illinois when they came in and put curbs on Route 1, and there's drainage issues involved there. There's quite a few things. So, does anybody have any serious heartburn about looking at this for making these kind of investments?
Just to clarify, did you say 25,000 a year or this year?
This year, yeah, just this year. Now, we may do something smaller next year, or we could do, we could do something the same size. It just doesn't have to take place every year. Comments, anyone?
Yeah, I think it's something that should get started.
And I will also tell you, at some point, we're gonna have to probably spend some of this money tearing out sidewalks that most of us would walk over and say it's not a big deal. We still have some handicap stuff we have to address in certain locations, correct?
Yeah. We've also been
sound like it's totally as dire as I made it out to be, but there's always sidewalks that need to be repaired.
Before this crunch, we did 25 to 50,000 a year every year for 20 years, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Benefit.
Yeah.
And when the crunch came, everything kind of ended with that. We haven't done them for the last 7, 8 years, probably. 6, 7 years.
Yeah, something like that.
Somewhere in there.
We also have, there also are some sidewalks that need to be addressed in the TIF two.
TIF area.
And we would look to probably throw that on top of the 25 and get those taken care of. And again, this stuff represents, a certain amount of liability for the village. So try to do a little bit every year. I know that some folks would like to see us doing that because that's part of what determines our liability. So,
Is there, Tom, I'll ask you this, I don't know, I know we have that school grant, which we kind of talked about last time, is there anything for sidewalks for like ADA stuff that we could get some help for? at
That's
all?
through the Safe Routes to School program, that's
That's the only
pretty
thing
much
that's out there.
specifically for
School, yeah.
walking to school, to and
Yeah.
from school. As for any, making sidewalks ADA accessible, things like that, I'd have to look and see, I'm not aware.
I've never seen anything like that. And true to form, what Phil was talking about, they're doing Jackson, I think it is, in South Heights. Isn't that the one that's close to the tracks? Is that commercial? One of those two streets, they got the LAFO project going on over there with that PP money. And, they were doing the nice sidewalks with the stamp stuff over there as part of their.
Most of all our curves now are handicap accessible.
Yeah.
Is what we're missing the red plate.
The red plate on the front.
Because they used to just stamp it in, at one time, and that was the big thing, and now they've gone away from the stamp, and now you gotta place the, and really, that's what we're doing, we're taking one square back in most of them and put that in there, whenever we do an intersection of grind and resurface, we do that one square in all 4, 8 corners, depending upon,
Yeah.
but that runs into money too, that's coming off of what we're gonna, repave.
So, okay, if I don't hear anybody strenuously objecting to this, so we'll try to start working on that for you also. Next is the water main bid open. Steve or Phil, or whoever gonna do it, I'm not sure.
Well, I've got the sheet, though, we kind of talked about, we had 5 bids. I think we were looking at doing the smallest one, which is the,
From what I was told, the money is to just do A, option A. Is that,
is it option A, or we're doing option B?
No, option A.
Option A.
248,000, something like that.
249,785.
585.
Yeah, with contractor Suburban General,
Yes.
who's done a couple projects with us now, and we've had very good luck and success working with them.
Just to let you know that the actual original engineer's estimate came in at $270,486 for A and $193,307 for B. We just don't have enough money, quite frankly, to do them both at the same time, so.
Mike, we could probably, Dan brought it up, option A is Chalet Lane and Chalet Court. Option B is Chalet Lane and Fairfield.
That's correct.
So we're looking at doing A versus A. Thank you.
And in doing that, we probably take care of 80% of our problem main.
Yes.
We do still got a hump of problem main in between Chalet Court and Hereford that we do have problems on quite often. But we're working our way to that.
Yeah.
And
So-
we're gonna be looking at this new process, not saying that we can do that there, but that new process, we're gonna look at and see what that does with that.
Yeah, what Steve is talking about is we ran across a company that lines as opposed to replaces water main. And we gave them a copy of our plans. Now, it's a little bit different than what they're normally used to, because water main that we're replacing is not one for one with the water main we're taking out of service. It's, we're adding some water main, we're going, I gotta tell you, what was done back in the sixties was crazy out in Swiss Valley. But, so now what we do is we come into a court, we go in with water main, loop it, come straight back out. So, what was out there was, before was, we went in with water main, we stopped, and we took this little small pipe and ran it around behind somebody's house and tied it into another main someplace else. It was crazy. So there was only one big main running in and not a loop on it. That was done when, I don't know why anybody would have done that. That's something that we would ever approve today. But, that being said, now we have to go in, turn around and come right straight back out, so the water always flows through there. So, that really is not a good comparison for just replacing the water main by lining, because you have to add additional water main, so it wasn't really a fair comparison. But they came back to us with a number, and both of those numbers were significantly higher than what was bid. So, you know, maybe it'll work out, maybe it won't. We have an idea where we may wanna try this at some point. It's gonna be done over in Park Forest, and we're gonna watch them, when it takes place. And I wanna say they canceled today for, what was it, Thursday?
Yeah, they made it for Monday or Tuesday.
And now they got, because they didn't get water samples back in time that were good, so we have to wait, and, whenever we go over there.
But I really think, Mayor, I think that will have its spot.
Oh, yeah, right.
I think we'll have its spot, and that's what you gotta do. I mean, even if, even if you're doing Main Street, block, that you don't wanna dig the whole road up and the whole front, all the stuff, I mean, it's gonna have a spot.
Yeah, it is.
We just gotta find that spot, and, when it comes up, we gotta remember, this is our choice,
Yeah, and there's several of them out there, so they're really not competing against anybody right now.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting technology that I think that we should look at, and Phil and I agree that this is something that may have a spot in this town where it would be, even if it was same money, may be more desirable to do than to go through and perform the open excavation approach, so.
They actually put a water main on top of the ground.
Hook all the
Hook
houses.
all the houses up while they're doing it. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's pretty
It's complicated.
complicated system.
It sounded like there were problems getting samples out.
That's exactly what it
Yeah,
sounded like.
That's what I'm saying, which I believe.
Yeah, yeah,
Which I
we
believe.
we kind of expected that, yeah. So, anyway, so, having said that, do we
Yeah, we'll take a motion, right? Make a motion to accept, the bid from Suburban General Construction for option A for $249,758.
85.
85, yes, correct, I'm sorry.
785.
785.
what's your dyslexia kicking in?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Is there a second?
Yes.
Second by, motion by Johnson, second by John Stunn. Suburban General, $249,785. This is gonna be on Chalet and Chalet Court. Over the replacement. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. So ordered. Okay, the next, that takes us through the, old business. Dan, do you have anything else on old business?
Nothing to see.
Steve? Larry, old business? Anything in old business? No? Okay,
I have one.
yes, ma'am.
I forgot, under communications, to remind people of the garage sale coming up, citywide garage sale,
Yeah, and
June sixth and seventh.
Yes.
I've been telling them this, that's the first weekend in June, correct?
It's always the first Friday, Saturday. That's the way to
what I've been
remember
telling
it.
people, so
And the one in September is always the second Friday, Saturday.
I was kind of nervous about that, because I remember one time somebody was saying it was not gonna be the first one in June, not
And we've never changed it.
Okay. Alrighty, so noted. Let's go to new business then. Proclamation of Motorcycle Awareness Month, May 2014. I'd like to proclaim that and ask for board concurrence.
Second.
Motion by Johnson, second by Milburn, that we declare May as myself and the clerk the proclamation. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. So ordered. Next is the request for a temporary sign permit by Mark Flowers from Trinity Lutheran Church. And this is to promote Vacation Bible School. And this is kind of a perennial request from them. And I would expect that you folks will want.
I'll make the motion to, for sign application and waive the, fee for, Trinity Creative Church.
Second.
Well, it's from May second to July 31st,
May
or May
20th.
20th. You're right, there's 2 days earlier.
Okay, motion by Johnson, second by Miller. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. So ordered. The next is request from Megan D. Miller, Musco District Association. And this is to allow the Crete Fire Department to solicit funds for MDA on 620, 725, and 829 or 14 at the intersection of Exchange and Main and Stager Road and State Street. This is an annual event, which it is.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Gaffney, second by Johnston. Any discussion?
I had someone ask me a question. Why is that not done on Route 394? I said it was too dangerous.
Absolutely. I'm even questioning the Stager
Stager
Road,
Road.
State Street. I don't believe we've ever been out there that I'm aware of.
When I think we were out there last year, depending on the number of people we get signed up.
But you have trouble getting enough people here a lot of times, so.
And these are all Friday nights now too, there are no Saturdays.
Yeah, no Saturday.
Oh, really?
Yep,
Yeah.
on nuts. There's been a motion and a second, I believe, correct?
No. You said.
Yes.
Johnson.
And all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. So ordered. Last is the ratification of phone poll taken May 7th, 2014 for approval. Requesting that the Crete Methodist Church conduct annual flower sale. We missed the last board meeting, let us know that. And this was the approval that was Friday, May the 9th, obviously, which is passed. And we just need to ratify that, so it's a motion to ratify.
I motion to ratify that.
Second.
Motion by Johnson, second by Johnson. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. So ordered. That's the one of those. Dan, anything other new business? No. Steve? Larry?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, no. So ordered.
You're the flower business. Stayed away from that.
We don't.
We should get some medical. That's probably really, really.
How you doing? Okay, so auction manager. Feeling good enough?
The only, junior relationship, I just couldn't identify the only reason I did.
They get their bond, we send it back. You know, sometimes it's on a day, sometimes it takes a month. You know what I mean? So really, so I talk to the contractor.
I wouldn't have tried to keep doing it.
Catch that, you know, the next one.
It won't, nothing will start.
Well, I would like to say no, but I've been wrong before, Dennis. You know, normally it's like that.
Okay.
Okay. The last time Superior General did this to us, they were ready to start next day.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, but I can't foresee that happening this time.
Thank you.
You know, but yeah, I'll let you know next week.
perfect.
So, you and Willie.
I'll tell you, the group that I ran, our season sailors, I think every single race in the existing every single race. Yeah, first race. No, you really need to let me.
No, I would hang on to it.
I saw it.
But I don't know if it's all
Like 5 inches or something like that. I was like, why don't we go?
But it's supposed to be about $70 a day, I'll have it like this weekend.
Oh, is it? Don't you know it? It doesn't last long. Yeah, it's up behind it. And a week later.
Oh, yeah, you guys have all sorts of.
I'll go exactly what you
Pharmaceutical form?
Oh, yeah.
If you're inside the building on Wi-Fi, or you're surfing or stuff like that, you're just
So people don't, I can tell you, I was asking about the idea of our local school system.
And that way she would go through her work and stuff, put on a website for town. She still got your computer.
That's about it.
Right now, I've read, sitting,
Well, you know.